Hi everybody, my name is Taylor and I'm going to be talking to you about why you should adopt an animal from a shelter or the ASPCA or Humane Society over a dog breeder. Now, this is something that is actually very, important to me because I actually have a dog that was rescued, which I'll talk a little bit more about toward the end. But, everyone loves animals, little animals, dogs, big dogs. They're a favorite to quite a few people. My family, I can barely walk past a dog on the street without stopping to say hi or pet him. And actually, a funny story, when I was younger, we actually ended up adopting a dog from a flea market. We didn't plan to, but they had a bunch of puppies, and so we couldn't resist and we bought one. And she's been with us for 13 years. But, at the time, I didn't really realize where she was coming from, if she was a rescue or a breeder dog. I wasn't sure. But now that I'm older, I realized she was a breeder dog and, she was bred as a puppy from a breeder. And today I would just like to persuade you that getting a dog from the pound or the ASPCA is much better than getting a dog from a breeder. First, I want to talk about the animals that are in the pound or in the ASPCA. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Humane Society and what they do. If not, they are an organization that takes care of animals. They bring them in, strays, rescues, and they feed them, groom them, medicate them, help them out, and then hopefully get them ready to be adopted. And according to the ASPCA, approximately 6.5 million companion animals enter the U.S. shelters nationwide, and approximately 3.2 million of those animals get adopted. So that leaves 3.5 animals that are not being adopted, and, why not? We're going to find out. So organizations like the ASPCA are responsible for these animals. They take them in, they have volunteers that help out, and they get them ready to be adopted. Blue is a dog that the ASPCA adopted. He was chained up to a pole outside in the cold, and they came in, rescued him, and, got him ready to be adopted, and he eventually was. Things like this happen all the time with animals that come to the ASPCA. They're rescues, they fix them up, and then they let them get adopted, which is great. Now that you know a little bit about the Humane Society and what they do, unfortunately, I want to talk to you about what happens to the dogs that aren't adopted. It's a very sad thing to talk about, but most of the dogs that aren't adopted are euthanized. The ASPCA says that approximately 1.5 of them are euthanized each year, which is very unfortunate. I feel like, all dogs that are rescued should be able to get a new home. There's so many people in the world that have animals. You would think that they'd all get adopted. They do say that quite a few of the animals that do come in, they are strays, so eventually they are returned to their owners, which is good to hear. If a dog runs away, I would want my dog to come back. And in an ideal world, they'd be able to keep all of these animals until they get adopted, but unfortunately, they need to be able to make room for new ones, so they have to let, some of them go. Now I want to talk about specifically why you should not buy a dog from a breeder. There's a few reasons why, but the first one is the cost. With a breeder dog, you could pay between $400 to $1,500, and you get the dog when they're 8 weeks old. And that means that they have their first round of shots, but they definitely don't have their second round of shots. And most likely they're not neutered because you have to wait till a certain age to get them neutered. So that's just more money that you have to put into this dog, even though you've already paid a ton. And vice versa, at an animal shelter, you're only paying between $100 to $400, depending on the type of dog. And they've most likely been neutered or spayed. They have all of their shots. They've been cared for. So it's so much better to buy from, to adopt a dog because it's way cheaper. And the second reason, which is definitely the most important reason, is that you are saving a life. Like I said, 1.5 million dogs are euthanized each year. So to adopt a dog would be to be saving one of these dogs. So hopefully they would have a second chance at life. And a lot of people say that they want to adopt a dog from a breeder because it's a puppy. They want puppies. They want to be able to train them. Well, I would just say to them, just wait until the ASPCA gets puppies. They get animals that range from 1 year to 12 years. So you could be getting a puppy. You just might have to wait a little bit for the right one. And then in conclusion, I just want to say, earlier I said that I had rescued a dog. We actually rescued a dog who was abandoned in his house, and my dad was on a work job, and we actually took him in, and now he's been with us for, I think, 6 years now. So I've been through both. We've adopted from a breeder, we've adopted from a shelter. So I would still say you should adopt from a shelter, because now they get a second chance at life. And if they've been abused, now they'll be in a nice home and they'll get the second chance that they deserve. So I hope that I've persuaded you to adopt from a shelter. And I'm so happy to have shelters like the ASPCA or Humane Society that do take care of these dogs and allow them to have a second chance.